This video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN.
Wait a second. Before we attack each other and tear ourselves to shreds like a pack of maniacs, let's just open the sack first and see what's actually in it. A pile of broken eggshells, an old smushed up rotten gizzard with maggots all over it.
Okay, it's worth it.
Isle of Dogs is a 2018 stop-motion film, which takes place in a near-future Japan where a strain of dog flu has forced the dog population to be exiled onto a nearby island. The film was written, directed and produced by Wes Anserson, who you can probably tell from the look of the film is the same guy who wrote, directed and produced the 2009 film Fantastic Mr. Fox.
A titanium card.
What's this thing you do, the whistle with the clicking sound?
That's my trademark.
Fantastic Mr. Fox, for those who haven't seen it, was certainly a distinctive film, with its unique visuals, shot composition, storytelling, and dry humour, being praised by both audiences and critics alike. So will Isle of Dogs prove to also be as sharp as a fox? Or is it a film that should be better left off as The Dog's Dinner? The film opens up with a brief telling of the history of dogs in Japan, where as of recent, there has been an outbreak of dog flu spreading throughout the city of Nagasaki, which I actually had to Google to see if this is a real place, and I can confirm that it's not. The fear is that this strain of flu may soon spread to humans, so the mayor of Nagasaki, who definitely isn't secretly evil, decrees that all dogs should be banished to a local rubbish island just off the coast. We then cut forward 6 months where we get introduced to a pack of 5 dogs on the island: Rex, King, Boss, Duke and Chief. Despite most of their names suggesting positions of hierarchy, the pack doesn't actually have a distinct leader, and instead they always take a vote on any decision made.
You're not our leader. We all are. Let's take a vote.
All in favor of not eating the little pilot, say aye.
Nay.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Democracy simply doesn't work.
The dogs spot a plane which crash lands on the island, finding that the pilot is just a small boy. The small boy is named Atari Kobashi, who has ventured onto the island in hope of finding his missing dog, Spots. The dogs recognise Spots from the photo and take Atari to his last known location, where it turns out that he unfortunately died inside of his cage.
Oh no.
You need a key.
Just as Atari is taken off to leave the island, the dogs discover that it wasn't actually the skeleton of Spots, and so then vouch to help the boy find his long lost pet. All that is, except for Chief, who isn't a big fan of people in general and believes the mission will be a massive waste of time and will end up getting them all killed. Back on the mainland, a scientist named Professor Watanabe has managed to develop a cure for the dog flu, but when he presents his findings to the mayor destroys the evidence and has the professor poisoned.
I'm secretly evil.
Back on the island, it turns out that Atari is actually the nephew of the evil mayor, and so a rescue team has been sent out to bring him back. A struggle ensues, but eventually the dogs and Atari manage to escape. The next day they set off across the island in hope to find Spots. But along the journey, Chief and Atari become separated from the rest of the gang. During this separation period, Chief and Atari begin to form a bond, and after giving Chief a bath, it is revealed that Chief's true fur colours are identical to that of Atari's missing dog. The gang eventually reunite, but are confronted once again by the rescue team. Only this time, they're bringing a lot more firepower. The gang is saved, however, by Spots, who manages to defeat the mechanical canines by firing his explosive military teeth at them. Yep. The gang then get washed away along a sewer pipe, where it's revealed that Chief and Spots are actually long lost brothers. Spots confesses that he can't go back with Atari, as he now leads a group of dogs that depend on him for survival, as well as now being a soon-to-be father. Back on the mainland, it is revealed that the mayor's government were the ones that originally released the dog flu virus into the city.
You secretly introduced mega quantities of infected fleas and contagious tick larvae into a metropolitan city center. Thank you.
And so a group of young activists are trying to expose the secret to the rest of the public, whilst also trying to get hold of the hidden cure. Back on the island, the dogs hear word from an owl
Ow! 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 Ow!
that the mayor has rounded up all the exiled dogs and plans to mass exterminate them with poison gas. Faced with no other choice, the dogs and Atari construct a boat and set sail for Megasaki. The young activists, meanwhile, manage to get their hands on the secret cure and storm the mayor's conference, revealing the truth to the public. The mayor dismisses the claims as propaganda, but in the nick of time, Atari turns up with the dogs, presenting a heartfelt speech to the crowd, explaining the bond that once existed between man and dog. The speech not only wins over the crowd, but also the mayor himself. But unfortunately, not everyone is convinced, and a huge fight breaks out, resulting in Atari and Spots needing to be taken to the hospital for emergency treatment. It turns out that Atari needs a new kidney, which in a surprising turn of events is donated to him by his uncle, the not-so-evil mayor? Atari manages to pull through, but Spots' fate is left unseen. A month passes and Atari becomes the new mayor of the city, yep, and is now in a relationship with the American activist. Yep, while his uncle and the rest of the corrupt government are sent to prison. We then see a statue dedicated to the memory of Spots, where we see his family now living safe and well, with Spots actually revealed to still be alive, where the film closes and all is good and happy. No, actually it is, it's a pretty happy ending surprisingly. And that's the plot of Isle of Dogs. So what are my thoughts? Well, let's start off with the positive, and that is without doubt the animation. The animation is fantastic. The stop motion is beautifully done and is definitely an improvement over the 2009 film Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is still good by the way, but this film is just better. Movement is now much more fluid and natural looking, and every little detail is captured. Even when characters are idle on screen, there is still movement in their fur blowing in the wind. It kind of reminds me of the twitching outer line style that is used in the cartoon series Ed, Edd and Eddy. This animation is further complemented by the shot composition and cinematography. We get lots of long shots making full use of the widescreen ratio, which really helps establish the scenes, along with great camera movement as well.
Of course, I wasn't always this straight.
Wait, what'd you say?
And as is familiar with the Fantastic Mr. Fox film, we also get a lot of close-up to the character faces. There were also some minor things I liked too, such as the comical cloud effect used whenever a fight would break out, or how a character will randomly look towards the camera at the end of certain scenes. I have no idea if this was done with the intention of comedy, but it certainly did make me chuckle. Along with the stop motion, we also get numerous integrations of 2D animations, which seem to be used whenever a character or object is being presented on a TV screen. I'm not sure if this creative decision was done purely for fun, or if it has a deeper meaning as to what we see on screen may not be an accurate reflection of reality. I don't know, maybe I'm looking into that one too much. But to sum it up, visually, this film is beautiful. The music is also up there with the animation. The main soundtrack consists of Japanese drums being played, which after a quick Google search, it turns out they're actually called taikos? Is that right? These taikos help keep the tension high throughout, whilst giving the film a very militant film to it. But there are also a couple of scenes that offer some nice soft vocal tracks, but even these seem to have an eerie heartbeat playing in the background. Then there's also the occasional use of whistling throughout. I think this is done to signify some kind of unity. It kind of reminds me of the whistling used in the Hunger Games. Another positive I had is actually the comedy. Despite the overall dark and serious tone of the film, there are actually a lot of moments in this that gave me some laughs. The dry line delivery from the characters who are in these horrific situations actually makes for some subtle dark humour.
Where'd you get that?
What? I always had this. I stole it off the dead skeleton.
There are also some well-placed comedic timings, such as when a character chooses to sneeze on screen, or as I mentioned earlier, the characters turning their heads to face the camera. And of course, the reoccurring jokes about democratic votes,
All in favor of Chief fighting the robot dog, say aye.
Aye.
Stick 'em.
And rumours.
You heard the rumor, right, about her and Felix? You heard the rumor, right, about these Aboriginal dogs? You heard the rumor, right, about Kobayashi Pharmaceutical?
Alright, so we've looked at the positives. Now I'm going to start looking at some of the more negative aspects I had with the film. First up, the characters. Now, the majority of the characters I did like in this film, with Bryan Cranston, who does the voice of Chief, being my absolute favourite. I swear everything that Bryan Cranston is in, he just absolutely nails.
You're goddamn right.
And this film is no exception. He manages to bring a voice to Chief that is both cold and harsh, but also a warm and softer nature as his character progresses.
What happened? Why did I do that? To this day, I have no idea.
But there were a couple of characters I wasn't so keen on. My first being the foreign exchange student. I just didn't feel like her character had much of a purpose in the film. For the amount of screen time she gets, the only purpose she seems to serve is getting the cure from the scientists to present to the crowd. But I'm pretty sure that this could have been done with the other female scientist instead. I think it would have not only made more sense, but have been a better character for her too. Like, if she had put herself in harm's way to pursue her dead colleague's dream, you know, instead of just sitting around and crying in a bar. They even tried to incorporate a weird romance subplot between the foreign exchange student and Atari, but it really just comes out of nowhere. There's literally 2 lines of dialogue which foreshadows this, and that's when she's trying to figure out the mystery and just utters this random line.
Damn it. I've got a crush on you.
Okay, and then the second line is when Atari is giving his speech and he says this.
Editor Hiroshi of the Megasaki Senior High Daily Manifesto, in a series of first-rate articles by an attractive cub reporter on your staff.
Like, what? You're in the middle of a speech which is trying to save the life of all these dogs in front of millions of people, and you feel that's the best time to put a pickup line in for a girl that you've never met before? I'm gonna be honest, Atari, that's kinda weird, mate. This leads me on to my next negative character, and I think this is going to be controversial, but I'll say it anyway. I had some issues with Atari.
Wait, what'd you say?
Now, I'm not saying that I hated this character by any means. For the most part, he's fine. But see, there's a big point made in this film about how everyone is equal, and that if any decision is made, there should be a democratic vote made on it. Which I guess is supposed to be a contrast to the authoritarian, corrupt Megasaki government. But then when Atari comes along, he immediately asserts control, and the other dogs just blindly do as he commands because he is the master.
Well, I understood that. Sit down.
It just felt a little contradictory to me. Also, as a side note, I was a little confused as to whether Atari could actually understand the dogs, as it's stated here that he can't.
Get ready to jump. Atari, I'm gonna drag you overboard with my teeth since you can't understand the plan.
But at many points in the film, it seems like he can.
I beg your pardon. Ignore that dog, he's got snout fever. Just please follow us.
The wrong dog died!
Also at this point, it also appears that he can understand owls too.
Ow! Ow!
But here's my biggest negative with the film overall, and that is the plot shift in the second half. In the second half, there's a lot more plot elements being introduced, such as Atari finding Spots, Chief discovering that Spots is his brother, and the activists now trying to take down the government. And as a result, our original 4 dogs get completely put to the side. After they're separated in the cable car, they're hardly featured again for the rest of the film. And I get that more time is needed to focus on Chief, Spots and Atari, but did we really need so much time spent on the activists on the mainland? We definitely could have dropped some of their scenes in order to carry on development with the 4 other dogs. In conclusion though, this is a film that I thoroughly enjoyed and recommend people to check out. I know I brought up quite a few negatives, but honestly, most of these are nitpicks in comparison to the positives. As no matter what is being said on screen, the visuals and music will have you truly captivated. But at the same time, I would respect and understand that this film may not be to everyone's taste. I remember hearing initial reviews for when this film came out in cinemas, and one of the common complaints was that the Japanese language wasn't subtitled, which apparently made it difficult to watch in certain places. Honestly, I didn't really feel this effect, as the language is translated when it's necessary to the plot, plus you have methods used as an excuse to speak English, such as having the American foreign exchange student. Though she is shown to speak fluent Japanese, so why she speaks English to the other Japanese kids I'm not really sure. Of course, when we're out of the island, there's no translation given for the boy when he's with the dogs, but I think this actually works for the film, as we're put more into the dog's position, where they also have no idea what he's saying.
I wish somebody spoke his language.
I mean, if you really want to know what's being said, I guess now on the DVD you can turn on the subtitles, or better yet, just go learn the language. I think some people may also struggle with how chronological the story is told, meaning that we do get a lot of jump backs into the past to show how certain events went down. But to compensate for this, the film does make sure to announce on screen when a time skip is happening, and sometimes even in narration too.
6 months later.
You could argue that this is a bit patronising and unnecessary, but personally I appreciated it, especially in scenes like this where we changed time periods but still had the same dog on screen. Plus I think the film was also a little self-aware of this, as it does go a bit excessive at times, even announcing time skips of 1 minute and 45 seconds. Again, kinda reminds me of the gimmick in the Lego movie. But I think overall, the majority of people will get enjoyment out of this, so I encourage you to go see it if you haven't already. Plus, you know, there's a bunch of really cute puppies in it, so need I really say more? In this film, the villain's plan was spoiled by the fact that a hacker managed to get into their systems. If they had something in place to better secure their connection, like say, a VPN, this would not have happened. And the genocide of thousands of dogs could have gone ahead. What they could have done with is something like Surfshark. Surfshark is an easy to use VPN which allows you to enjoy all the freedoms of an open internet safely and anonymously, across all these devices at the same time. Surfshark encrypts all your data sent over the internet, protecting your passwords, private messages, videos, dick pics, you name it. And with their no-log policy, not even Surfshark themselves will collect any of your data. On top of its security, it's also super simple to use, that even an idiot like me managed to do so. Remember when I said I struggled to get hold of the film 9 because it wasn't on Netflix? Well, I saw in the comments section that for other users, it was. So thanks to Surfshark, I can now change my domain to the US, and suddenly... If you'd like to give Surfshark a try, click the link in the description below and head to surfshark.deals/SteveReviews and use the code SteveReviews. There you can get 83% off of a 3-year plan with an additional 3 months for free. That's surfshark.deals/SteveReviews. Code offer SteveReviews. Thank you very much for watching guys, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.